Hi, strange as it may seem, I'm Tim Conway, and I'd like to welcome you to this month's, week's edition, day's edition, whatever, of VFBF, VA, to the thing you're going to see. I think the theater's on fire.
Hello, I'm Captain Buddy Martinet, and welcome to another edition of Frontline, our first 1995 edition of the program. We're happy to have with us today Deputy Chief Carter, and Deputy Chief Carter is going to be talking about the new CO, or carbon monoxide policy, that has recently been put on the street. And Chief, thanks for coming by to clarify some of that information in that new document.
Well, hopefully it will, Bud. Get some information out here to these guys.
Can you start and give us just an overview of the policy? I guess it's not an SOP yet, it's just kind of a directive on how we're going to do business. Can you give us an overview of the history and how we came out with this?
Yes. Obviously this CO monitor scenario was triggered because of what happened in Norfolk not too long ago. We got a lot of publication from the news media. A lot of people went out and started purchasing these things and installing them in the houses and things. And our call volume increased quite a bit because of the detectors. And there was some concern out there by the engine company personnel, and rightfully so. We tried to clarify it a little bit through the fire marshal's office because they were dealing with Virginia Natural Gas, the detector people, etc. So had Chief George do some research, put out a blurb to the field. That left some questions still that surfaced last week at the staff meeting. So because of that, as a staff, we decided it would be to our benefit to put out a directive, if you will, until such time we can finalize a standard operating policy and get it to the field.
When do you think that would be? What process will that take to get that SOP out?
Well, we're currently still working with the Tidewater cities, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, Virginia Natural Gas, First Alert people, and one of the other manufacturers, I forget. We're all trying to come up with the same basic guidelines.
Right.
So everybody's doing basically the same thing throughout the cities. I won't give a time frame, but I would think something within the next 3 or 4 months would be appropriate.
Okay.
And this should tide us over until that.
Specifically, can we talk about responsibilities of the fire department? And I guess we'll use the assumption that I'm a company officer out there in the field. I'm responding to a carbon monoxide detector that is going off. We are going to, as I understand it, assume that there is a problem there, and we're going to wear SCBAs. From that point on, what is the fire department's responsibility to the citizen?
Okay, well, we have two things we need to worry about. One is the citizens out there, and two is our personnel. Obviously, if we're responding to a detector call, we have to assume that the detector is working properly and that there is gas present. The other alternative, I guess, is that the detector is faulty. But we can't assume that, or shouldn't assume that. When we get off that rig, we should have our SCBA on intact, go in the house, talk to the personnel if they're still in there or if they're outside. Make those decisions based on information they're given by the occupants of the dwellings. And the resources, or the sources, that can produce this gas are numerous, you know, in houses. And our guys are very intelligent. They can figure out rather quickly, I think, what might be causing this problem. If we can isolate the problem, then we should isolate it, red tag it, ventilate the structure, advise the personnel that are there what we've done and what they should do, i.e. call the furnace repair people, call V&G, get your wood stove checked, have your fireplace checked, and all the other sources that are capable of creating this gas for us. And then it's up to the occupant. They have certain responsibilities which are also outlined in the policy for them to take because it's their dwelling.
Right.
If it's a commercial type facility, then we should notify the maintenance personnel, get them involved in it so they can take care of not only the building there, but the occupants that are renting or occupying those facilities.
Let me, based on that, let me ask you this, Chief, because there are numerous things that can cause carbon monoxide in a dwelling, but actually they're not very numerous, so to speak. I mean, you talk about incomplete combustion
Right.
of products, so
Right.
most of them are going to have to do with natural gas or wood-burning appliances that are in somebody's home. As far as natural gas is concerned, if we have isolated that, they say, well, we have a CO problem in our house. We think we do, the detector's going off. Well, we have natural gas. So we're going to assume that it's that appliance based on nothing else is operating in the house that could cause combustion.
Right.
At that point, would we say investigate it? I'm not a heat exchanger man, so I don't even know, I wouldn't know a heat exchanger was bad if one jumped up and bit me. So I would have to assume, you know, you possibly might have a problem with your furnace. Is that the point where the people call the furnace repair people?
Yes.
Or call Virginia Natural Gas?
Well, if it's a gas-fired system,
Right.
V&G wants to be notified.
Okay.
So you notify V&G. If it's a situation where we have a patient that has been transported or being treated for the CO symptoms,
Right.
then they're going to respond immediately.
Okay.
If it's not that life-threatening, if you will, then they're going to put you on a list and come out as quickly as possible, either that same day or the next day. Right. They will investigate the problem and take care of it. If it's not gas-related, then it's probably our responsibility to have the occupants notify the furnace repair people if it's an oil unit,
Right.
or a wood-burning stove if it's theirs, and possibly, depending on the severity of the source, red tag the unit and send the red tag in. Right. And that way we can do a follow-up to make sure it has been taken care of.
Okay, that's great. Well, it's good information. I know there are a lot of questions out there, especially, you know, on how people are supposed to act with this, being it's a colorless and odorless gas. First of all, how do you know it's there unless the detector's going off or the occupants have symptoms?
Exactly.
Symptoms
exactly.
already.
Look, our guys are doing a good job out there, and their battalion chiefs surface these issues for them to make sure that we can provide the best coverage out there for our people as well as the citizens. So, you know, to the most point, everything's going along fine. We just needed some direction.
Right. Well, that's great information, and the SOP, like I said, will be coming out. There are also available some carbon monoxide tapes in the library that specify how you're supposed to do business, a little bit more about carbon monoxide and things like that. That and some literature is available in the library for checkout if you want to come down there and get that. Chief, other than that, I appreciate you coming in and clarifying a lot of that information. If the people have any additional questions, should they contact the Fire Marshal's office? Would that be the direct point for them to call?
Yes, Chief McGinnis and Chief George are working very closely with, like I said, HQ, for example, is working with us, V&G, and the other Tidewater cities. So if you've got specific questions that aren't addressed, either in the information that's been passed out already by Fire Marshal's office or covered here in the policy, don't keep them. Pick up the phone, call the Fire Marshal's office, and talk to one of those two guys, and we'll get you the answers.
Great. Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
All right, let me give you the rundown on the program this month because I think we've got a real good program to start out 1995. First up on the program is going to be Rags to Wrenches, and Greg Wakeman talks to Ray McLaughlin about the SCBA maintenance and some problems that they're having with that, just general maintenance requirements for SCBAs. Health and Fitness this month, Jim Milligan is at Company 2, and he's going to be talking about a 30-minute workout from A to Z. And this is going to be a little bit something different than we've been doing because we're going to try to do something complete for you. For those people out there that are not bodybuilders or specialized workout people, we're going to try to give you some things to do that you can do in the fire station for your overall health and fitness. Fire Bites this month, Horace Summerlin's talking about the faxing program, the FaxRite program that you have on your computer in the fire station. On the Fire Medic segment, April Elmore talks to Master Firefighter Paul Gleaton about Tech 1 responses and about the standing backboard and how that's done, standing backboard procedure. How in the World, Master Firefighter Randy Bowe is going to talk about silo fires, dust explosions, and collapses. And then we're going to finish the program up with VDFD news updates and Battalion Chief Skip Brim. Before we go to the next segment, before we get into the program, and when we close out the opening here, we're going to show you the people behind the mustaches. And then when we get to, for the mustache segment, when we get to the program in the news segment, we're going to show you the winners enjoying their pizza. And we'll just let you see about that when you get to it. So kick your feet back, sit back, enjoy the program. We'll see you in a little while.
Another edition of Rags to Wrenches, Captain Greg Wakeman, and today we're down here at the air room with Ray McLaughlin. You know, normally we pan to automotive stuff and things in the station and what have you. Today we're going to talk about air bottles, breathing apparatus, and some of the other problems that occur with the breathing apparatus. Ray, you want to get in on this with me? I understand you have quite a few things come down here, kind of routine.
Well, we've got filth is the biggest thing that I have a problem with in the air room, trying to determine what the problems are, why they're here, and about 80% of the ones that come in here, the problems are due to filth.
Okay, so obviously we're not cleaning the breathing apparatus after fires or incidents that they should be cleaned.
I think the big thing is that they drop them. They don't care where they are. They come in here with ports. For instance, we'll see one that is completely full of plaster, where it's been dropped on the ground after they got finished using it, just took it off and dropped it. And it's jammed so packed tight with plaster that I have to take a pick and pick it out.
Okay, well, you're talking about the buddy breathing port, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, now how about the, you know, the hookup now for the low pressure hose and stuff like that? Is that a subject to it? Because that's got a cap on it. What about the port? Is there any way of protecting that?
Well, it's not anything but a blue cap that we put in the cap, put in a breathing apparatus. It's hooked on one side of the buddy breather, and well, if we look at the wall at some time, we'll see that none of them are in their place where they belong.
Okay, so
They're wide open.
that's just something we have a tendency to forget then, is to replace that little blue plug, because that's one of our protections. If that thing gets full of dirt, plaster, or some other debris, and you go to buddy breathe with it and you can't get it together, there goes your lifeline. Ray, how about face pieces, things of that nature?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we got a problem with is this diaphragm, the breathing diaphragm on them. They not paying attention on how to clean them. We can refer to the SOP that's printed, plus we have a sheet that Survivair uses to give the guidelines to taking care of them.
Okay, is that available to us, or can we get a copy of that from somebody?
Absolutely. They're probably in the station now. If not, they can get a copy of it from here.
Okay, folks, so if you need, they got a checklist here you can refer to. It gives you a little bit better detail on how to clean your breathing apparatus, how to check it, daily checks, what things to look for. Ray, how about the new SOP? I understand there has been a new SOP put out, and is it something we should review?
I would imagine that you need to review it in full. It probably takes care of tagging. My big problem with a lot of people will print the tags and won't put the name on it. I'd like to talk to the person that has the problem. If it gets here, if you got a leakage in it, and I can't find it, then I'd like to find out from the person that wore it to tell me, so that maybe I can locate the problem.
Okay, and what is some of the most inherent problems you get down here? Some of the things that can be taken care of in the station, when they're sent down here, it really wasn't necessary to come down here. Does that fall back on dirt, debris, cleaning the apparatus, or is it just something that we are just not addressing?
Cleaning is the big thing. If we could learn how to clean these things and clean them properly, I don't think you'd have half the problems that we have with them.
Can you go over real quick what would be the best way to clean one of these items?
Well, we have the stuff that's supplied. Simple Green works as good as anything that we've found. It's used in the factory at Survivair. They were the ones that recommended it, and I brought this recommendation back to the city. It's also printed in this guideline that I just spoke of.
Okay. And I understand we had a little problem with the breathing apparatus bottle from Company 7. I believe you wanted to show that to everybody.
Yeah, it's a bottle that was written up for air leakage. It apparently was diagnosed in the field as being bad threads or a bad O-ring. Got here, I completely overhauled the valve, put it back in the bottle, filled it up, actually found a hole in the top of the bottle between the rounded end of the bottle and the valve.
And you know, Ray, to wrap something up, we had something else that was pointed out to us. It doesn't have to do with breathing apparatus, but it is protective equipment. You know, looking at this helmet, it appears to be in good shape. Don't see any obvious damage. Don't see anything out of the ordinary. There's no blisters, no bubbles. It's clean. Looks in pretty good shape. They took it apart down here to examine it, and in so doing, they found where the helmet had actually physically began to delaminate on the inside. If you can hear that. I mean, the helmet is coming apart physically. So that's something else. I mean, we can look at the outer shell of these helmets. We can take a look at them and think everything's safe and fine and dandy. These are the only things between you and whatever's falling down on your head. So it would be in your best interest to take a lot of time when you examine your personal equipment and make sure it's in proper working order. Well, Ray, I want to thank you a lot for allowing us to come down here and speak with you about the problems with the breathing apparatus, share some things about the helmet, just personal protective equipment itself. We talk about trucks, and trucks are the biggest thing that we ride on, some of the littler things that are going to protect us. I appreciate it.
Sure. Glad to have you. Come anytime.
For Rags to Wrenches, I'm Captain Greg Wakeman.
Hey, welcome to 1995 and our first edition of Health and Fitness. I'm here today at Company 2A shift with Rob Monroe. Now, Rob, you've been in the fire department, what, about 2 years?
Approximately 2 years.
And he's a transplant from York County, where he worked up there for about a year. As you know, Rob, today we're going to go through a full routine. It's going to be kind of fast, so refer to the sheet that we're using in the video box for you. It'll list all of these exercises we're going to go through today. Rob, normally we start our workouts off with a warm-up, and what do you do for a warm-up?
Normally I walk about 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes, and then you do that so you don't have to stretch a cold muscle, I assume.
Yes, you would never want to stretch a cold muscle. You can always tear it, with working out with weights and stuff.
Sure, okay. Well, he's already done his walk for the day, and he did about 5 minutes today, just to get your muscle tissue warmed up, perfuse the tissue with blood a little bit. And so we're going to go into the flexibility portion of the program, stretching, and we'll start off with a hanging stretch. So what do you say we go over to the bar and start with that one?
Sounds good.
Okay, come on. Now, one of the good things about a hanging stretch is it's a full body stretch. It's probably one of the best stretches you can do overall, from the fingers to the toes. Gravity does the work, and it's a terrific stretch. Rob, what do you say go ahead and jump up there and let's show them what it looks like?
Sounds good.
Now, what he's going to do is he's going to hang for about 20 to 30 seconds. Let all the air out of his body. Just relax. And at the end of that 20 or 30 second period, he'll come down and he'll rest for 20 seconds, and then he'll repeat this exercise, rest and repeat, 20 or 30 seconds. Rob is now going to demonstrate the double leg lower back stretch. Now, to do this, he lays flat on his back on a mat. Now, this exercise stretches the lower back, the upper back, the shoulders, the glutes, the hamstrings, and the hips. Once again, like the other stretches, he holds for 20 to 30 seconds. He'll rest for 20 seconds, then he'll repeat this exercise twice more. So a total of 3 exercises. Now, Rob's going to demonstrate a standing side bend. Standing side bend stretches the side muscles, the lats, the erectors, and the shoulders. Now, he's moving a little fast for us, but what you want to do is, once again, hold for 20 to 30 seconds on each side, and then back to the starting position and hold for about 20 seconds. And then he would repeat this exercise twice more. As you get into the stretch position, I'd like to emphasize that release your air. Let the air out of your body a little bit in slow timing, and that helps to release tension. Excellent. Back to the starting position. Next is the overhead pole stretch. This stretches the shoulders, the traps, the lats, the arms, and the chest. Now, Rob's just using the broom handle, which all the fire stations have, of course, and he gets a nice range of motion. Please remember that you only stretch to your own range of motion. Rob, how about turning around one time, and let's show him the back and show what the range of motion looks like for you. There you go. Nice, slow movement. Holding for 20 to 30 seconds, and then returning to the starting position. Once again, refer to your sheet in the box. 3 exercises. Now, Rob, we're going to start off this portion of the weight program doing legs. We're going to use squats in this particular one. It's a full body exercise. I'd like to point out that this is normally a lighter weight than Rob works with. Rob, how much weight is this here?
It's approximately about 90 pounds or so.
About 90 pounds, 45 pounds for the bar and 50 pounds of weight, so 95 pounds. And I'm going to be the spotter for him. So let's go ahead and show him that one.
Okay.
Now, Rob is going to do about 3 sets of 10 normally, but today he's just going to do a couple just to show us. Okay, one more, nice and slow. Same speed in both directions. There you go, and put it back. So, 3 sets of 10 repetitions to start with using a moderate weight. You'll want to increase your weight on the next set, maybe 10 pounds would probably be comfortable, and then finally 10 pounds more on the final set. So 95, 105, and 115. If that 95 feels a little heavy to you, then drop down in weight. The amount of weight that you're doing is not as important as the method in which you do it. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, most definitely. More like you have to do proper form, if anything else, so you can injure yourself. This is a very dangerous exercise.
Great. You notice he's wearing a waist belt, so we're going to try to go through all the safeties when we do this. Rob's now demonstrating a bench press. You've seen this before. Same speed in both directions. 3 sets of 10. Use a moderate weight. He's using 135. You might want to go down for your first set and change for 10 pounds for the next set, and maybe go up 10 pounds on the final set and rest about 30 seconds. Rob's demonstrating for us an exercise called Good Mornings, and this exercise is working the lower back. Now you notice we're using a very light weight. This is 45 pounds, and Rob would probably use a little heavier weight, but once again, we want to stress the light weight for this exercise. Nice and slow in both directions. It's a great exercise. Tricep extensions works the back of the arm. Nice, same speed in both directions. 3 sets of 10, very moderate weight. He's using about 25 pounds. You might want to go down for your first set. Increase about 5 pounds for the next set, and then finally 5 more pounds for the third set. Switch hands after you do 3 sets of 10, and do the other one. Notice he isolates the elbow. For this last exercise, we're going to do a barbell curl. Now, Rob's using an easy curl bar. The bar weighs about 20 pounds, and he's got 50 pounds on it, so he's using 70. Once again, you might want to start with a lighter weight. 3 sets of 10, moderate weight, increase your weight for the second set, and then increase your weight for the third set. Same speed in both directions. Don't jerk your back. Very traditional bicep curl. Now, Rob's finishing up the cardiovascular portion of the program. He's running about 15 minutes. You could do a fast walk. There we go. Terrific. How'd it feel?
Good.
Yeah, great, great. Now, Rob, after you finish your cardiovascular program, I suppose by then you're going to do a cool down?
Yes, you can cool down for about 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes, okay. And then finally finish off with a stretch. What's one of your favorite stretches?
One of my favorite stretches is stretching out the hamstring, especially after a run like that. I like to stretch out the hamstring a little bit with raising it up on some kind of incline. So
yeah, great. Okay, I know the stretch you're talking about. We showed that to you a couple months ago. Well, what do you say? You probably built up a hunger by now, I imagine? Yeah?
Very hungry.
Well, I tell you what, I've got a terrific food for you, for the athlete and all of us. When you're exercising, to get that muscle fuel back in the body after you exercise, nothing beats pasta. Well, Rob, pasta is a muscle fuel, buddy. I think it's great. You know, it's great after you exercise because eating pasta or any complex carbohydrate will speed up that restocking of fuel in the body. Now, coaches who once talked about a pregame dinner of steak are now pushing pasta as the pregame meal of choice. Now, pasta will help reduce 3 coronary risk factors: overweight, high blood pressure, and high blood cholesterol. They're great, and as an added bonus, you know, you can go on a diet with a high carbohydrate dinner and never have the bad effects of hunger. It's really terrific for that. So apparently, eating a complex carbohydrate meal is probably your best bet for living a full life. Now, 2 ounces of dry pasta, which is basically what Rob has here, provides about 210 calories. It's about 7 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, and a whopping 42 grams of carbohydrates. It's terrific. So when you consume complex carbohydrates such as pasta with fruits, vegetables, and whole grain, pasta becomes a great choice for us all. So until next time, my name's Jim Milligan for Health and Fitness.
Here we are at one of the fire stations, and we're going to be doing some faxing today. Well, there's 2 different modes in faxing: receiving faxing and sending faxing. We're going to be talking about receiving faxing first and the procedures of doing that. Along with the modem, we receive some fax software. It's called Quick Link 2 for faxing. We're going to be going into that now. Let's go to the computer and we can show you how that's going to operate. By moving the arrow to the icon Quick Link 2 Fax and double clicking, we'll open the Quick Link 2 Fax window group. The Quick Link 2 Fax icon, moving the arrow to it and double clicking it, will start the program. As you can see, there will be a black screen shows up, and to let you know when the software is connected to the fax modem, you'll see some green lettering on the top left-hand corner of your screen and an OK. This will let you know that you're ready to send or receive a fax. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be receiving a fax first, setting the machine up to receive a fax. In most cases, someone is going to call you or call the station and say, "We have a fax, I'd like to send it to you." You would come in, open the program as I have shown you, and go to the word fax in the pull-down menu and click it once. In the pull-down menu, you will see fax receiving. We'll click on fax receiving once. This opens a small window, and it may appear in different places on the screen. It makes no difference where it is. But it will show you a string of lights at the bottom representing a modem. At the top, you'll see waiting for a call. At this point, we are ready to receive a fax. The machine is sitting in the ready mode. Somebody from the other side can be with their fax modem card from another station or a fax machine. They will put their fax in the machine, dial up the number here, and the machine will automatically answer the telephone and receive the fax. Now, I have the software set up in a way that once the fax comes in, it automatically goes and saves itself to a file, and again, automatically sends itself to the printer. So it's automatic. The whole program is automatic to the end user. Once the fax has been received and printed, then we can go back and back ourselves out of this program by double-clicking the upper left-hand corner and closing that fax waiting portion. The problem that we have here, if you do not close that window, you're not going to be able to do any receiving or sending through the modem. That fax portion will lock up the modem for any other type of communication. So remember, if you're trying to connect into the fire department network, you're not going to be able to do it if that window is open. Make sure that that window is closed for that fax waiting so you can communicate. Now that I've demonstrated how to receive a fax, we're going to go through the motions of sending a fax. Sending a fax is a little bit different, where you don't need to go actually into the Quick Link 2 Fax program, but you will have to open the Quick 2 Link Fax icon group to get to the word processor. I have set up the software to where the Quick Link 2 Fax software, where we can go into a word processor And instead of printing our file, we're going to be sending the file through the word processor out to the modem and the fax card. Currently, the word processor that we're going to be using is the Write program, and I've loaded a copy of that in the Quick Link to Fax group. So by moving the arrow to the right icon, which is representing by the writing pen, and double-clicking it, you'll be receiving a word processor on the screen. Now, what we're doing here is you're typing anything you wish as your fax. It can be a document of any type. It could be a letter, a memo. It could even be a file that you have saved on a disk. Just by placing the disk into the computer and going and opening it in the normal fashion by going to the File, Open, and changing your drives to A or B, depending on what drive your software is in, and receiving that file or retrieving that file into your word processor, and then we can fax it out. So let's say that we have the file in the computer now. What we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and open a file and pretend that that is my file that I'm going to be using. Takes a few minutes to read the information off the hard drive. Now I have a document on the screen in my word processor, and I wish to send this out to another fire station, to another firefighter, or I can send it up to the administration office. So from here we point to the File word in the pull-down menu and click on Print Setup. What we're doing, we're going to be changing the print setup from printing to the printer, which is the default printer on this machine is the IBM Pro printer, to printing it out to the fax modem. To do this, we're going to change from the default printer, we're going to come down to the Pacific printer and click on it and move over to the down arrow to change to Quick Link to Fax for fax modem. Clicking once, you can see now that it is highlighted in your window here. Once you've done that, you can come up and click on OK, and that sets the word processor so when you go to print, you're printing to the fax modem instead of the printer. Moving the arrow to the Word file in the pull-down menu, and then clicking on Print, it will bring up the print window. This is where you will choose if you want to print all your document or just one page. You can pick whatever page of a multi-page document you wish. Once you have chosen this, click on OK, and you'll, instead of sending it to the printer at this point, you will get a Send Fax Information screen. This is where you will type in the number that you're going to be sending it to, the name of the company, the fire company, or the administration. You can type that in this line, and then the person that you're going to send it attention to. If you are going to be sending it from a fire station that requires a prefix, then you can put the prefix up here in the number instead of down here. So you just type in 9 dash and then the number. The name, clicking on here, you can type in and you can abbreviate here, and the attention to. Once we have this information into our Send Fax Information window, We move the arrow over to send fax, and we're ready to send the fax. By clicking on send the fax, it will automatically send it through the fax modem card and out, and it will be received by the, and in this case, the fire administration fax machine, and they will receive it as a fax. After sending the fax through your word processor, you're going to need to reset your printer in the word processor so you'll be printing the next time. If you don't, your document will be sent or be trying to send through the fax modem. So let's remember to reset your printers. Next month we're going to be talking about additional software that we're going to be loading on the computers. Also, the city's information technology department has chosen WordPerfect for Windows 6.0 for our word processor. Kathy and I have been working with this, and we'll be coming around to the stations to give you a full program with that WordPerfect. So until next month, this is Horace Summerlin with Fire Bites.
Welcome back to this month's segment of Fire Medic. This month we're going to go over some of the segments that we have presented in previous months and try to tie everything together. We started off with positioning of apparatus with Officer Lorenko. Then we went to the backboarding segment. Today we're going to cover the standing backboard that we spoke of last month on the segment. To start off with, however, we're here at Company 10 today with Master Firefighter Paul Gleaton to discuss with him some positioning of apparatus that is pertinent in technical rescue calls. Thank you for being with us today, Paul.
Hi, April. How are you?
Very good, thank you. One of the questions that I'd like to have for you is, are we seeing a sufficient response of the technical team to accident calls? Are you being called for? I know that we discussed that Company 10 only had 16 calls last year. Do you think that there was probably more that you could have been sent on?
Well, first of all, I'd like to correct that. It was 16 calls on C shift. Yes and no on your answer. First of all, we do respond in our area as an initial call out because we're closer by time or distance. Very few of those calls for vehicle response were out of our area because of, I think it was just lack of knowledge of the officers on the scene knowing that they could call for us. There is a procedure for that. I mean, it's in the SOP that when a squad truck's been responded, what the officer needs to do is ask the dispatcher, has a squad truck responded, and if so, where are they at? So they can reference that for time or distance. And they can call us as a second piece in if the second squad truck has not responded, or if it has and it's too far out. We're always manned because we have 3 people in the truck, or possibly 4 people if our staffing's up. The officer has the option of responding a ladder truck, which is probably a good bet too. Get a ladder on the road, and then they can also respond to tech unit. A lot of officers kind of shy away from that, and once they got a ladder coming, they think, well, that'll be sufficient. But the tech unit has hydraulic tools. It also has rams, cutters. We have high-pressure airbags. We have low-pressure airbags. We have pneumatic cutters, air hammers. So, I mean, we're sufficiently equipped for any type of vehicle or major vehicle transportation accident like a train, plane, automobile. We can handle just about anything.
Okay, and are there specific instances that an engine company would need to be concerned if you were to be dispatched to come in, for example, a structural collapse or a trench call with all the additional equipment that'll be incoming, or what type of position do you need us to save you so that you can adequately perform your tasks?
Generally, it'd be common sense. If you have a structural collapse, you don't want to get any vehicle too close. You want to limit the access of vehicles coming in and set up a staging area, call us in, and then if we have our trailer with us, that takes a little bit of room to move it around, maneuver into the area. We just need to be close enough to where we carry our equipment up. As far as working with our air tools and electrical appliances, we need to be within 100 feet. That goes for our hydraulic tools also. 100 feet would be a good rule of thumb, but closer if possible. But common sense would dictate that.
Okay, is there anything else that we should be concerned about specific to the technical truck and the things that you can do that maybe we don't utilize you to the fullest extent at this time?
Yeah, there are seven general areas that we can respond on. First of all, a trench collapse. I mean, the team originated as a trench team. Now it's into the technical rescue realm of it. We can do rope rescue. We do helicopter technical work. We do vehicle extrications. Everybody here is certified as Vehicle 2. So, I mean, just as the ladder companies are trying to get up to snuff, that we have the same training. We can also do structural collapse, and that if it's general weather, fire, or any type of structural collapse where a commander thinks that he needs to shore up a certain area that needs to be saved, fire investigators need to get into a certain area that they're not too sure of the structural stability of the structure, then we can come in and we can shore that up. All I can say is call us out. We can do just about any type of work out there. We just need to be called.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that information and being with us today, Paul. Coming up on the rest of the segment, we're going to do the standing backboard technique, and we have some footage to show you of that. As you may recall, in the November Fire Medic section of Frontline, we discussed the trauma roll, a controversial move, but one that is accepted by the Department of EMS under certain circumstances. According to the guidelines set forth by BTLS, condoned by the state of Virginia, if there is a life-threatening injury to the patient, when you begin your primary survey, if the patient has a decreased level of consciousness, has chest pain, has some life-threatening injury, then the patient should be rapidly extricated from the vehicle, and the trauma roll is an acceptable maneuver. The second circumstance under which you can use the trauma roll is if there is a life threat to the patient because of the scene or because of the scenario that the patient's in. If the car is on fire, if the car is in water, if leaving the patient in the car will mean detriment to the patient, then the patient should be rapidly extricated. This can be done using the trauma roll. In this footage here, we will show you how to perform the trauma roll. You should approach the vehicle from the front in a safe maneuver and gain patient eye contact, if that's possible, if the patient is conscious. Once that has been done, you need to gain access to the vehicle. You may approach the vehicle from either side, enter the vehicle, and maintain manual C-spine stabilization. During this time, someone should be performing a primary survey in order to determine if the patient needs to be rapidly extricated. As you can see in this scenario, the patient has cyanosis around the eyes and around the mouth. The patient has a decreased level of consciousness, and therefore he falls into the category for rapid extrication. We will be applying a C-collar to this patient as the backboard and the other equipment necessary to do the rapid extrication is gathered by the other personnel on the scene. Once you have the backboard, you need to slide the backboard underneath of the patient, and this will be performed in much the same way as the patient is moved while on the KED. You will turn the patient as a unit, protecting the C-spine as much as possible, keeping in mind that you do not have the KED to stabilize it. So you'll need as much manual stabilization as you can afford to get around the patient. Sometimes this can be difficult depending on the size of the vehicle and the structural stability of the vehicle. Always remember, prior to entering the vehicle, you need to stabilize the vehicle. Once you have lowered the patient onto the backboard, then you may lower his or her legs, asking if there's any discomfort if the patient is conscious. Once you have lowered the patient's legs, you need to move the patient into position on the backboard and secure the CID. It is most appropriate at this time to go ahead and secure the straps to the backboard. If this is not capable of being done at this time, you need to verify or make sure that there are enough personnel surrounding the backboard so that no injury will come to the patient, that the patient will not fall off the backboard. There will be no injury to the patient as you move him from the vehicle. It is also a very good suggestion at this time to have the stretcher readily available when you extricate the patient on the backboard from the vehicle, to go ahead and lay the backboard on the stretcher so that you don't have to move the patient once again. If that is not capable of being done at that time, if the ambulance is not there, if you don't have a stretcher, go ahead and move the patient away from the vehicle and secure the patient if you have not done so already. We have secured the patient, verifying the CID is secure, going ahead and putting a chest strap, a waist strap, and a leg strap on the patient. Keep in mind, as with the last video, this patient may need to be turned en route to clear an airway, and you need to verify that the patient is secured on the backboard sufficiently that if he needs to be maneuvered en route, that there will be no C-spine damage. Once you have the patient secured to the backboard, you need to continue with patient care. If the ambulance is not there yet, you need to go ahead and resume your patient assessment. The primary survey should have already been completed, so you will continue on with vital signs and secondary survey as necessary. Another technique that may be utilized if you respond to an accident call and you arrive on the scene to find a patient up and around that had been involved in a motor vehicle accident, specifically one that gives you the impression that there was significant damage and that the patient needs to be transported to the hospital. Maybe the patient's up and about complaining of neck or back pain, maybe holding his neck. This patient needs to be cared for in much the same manner as the patient with the KED or the patient that you would have trauma rolled. The patient needs to have a C-collar. The patient needs to be placed on a backboard. It is inappropriate to ask this patient to sit or lie down on the backboard because you have compromised their spine in doing so. If you find a patient standing, it is an acceptable technique to do a procedure called the standing backboard. This is accomplished by approaching the patient, maintaining manual C-spine stabilization, applying a C-collar, coming behind the patient with the backboard with the CID attached to the backboard, and grasping the patient under each of his arms and then grasping the backboard. You will place one of your feet behind the backboard, much the same as you would foot a ladder to prevent the slippage. Then in unison with the head count and maintaining C-spine stabilization, you will lower the patient to the ground and secure him to the board. Thus you have not compromised the patient's spine, you have given him the support that he needs, and he can be transported to the hospital without compromise. Remember, as discussed earlier in the segment, if you respond and you need the technical truck or if you need ladder truck assistance, they are units that are available for your use, and they can be called for once you have arrived on the scene and determined the need for them. As instructed earlier in the video, the trauma roll is very controversial. It is used many times when it is inappropriate. The patient needs to have a life-threatening injury, or there needs to be a concern for a life threat if the patient remains in the car. There was a lot of time put forth and a lot of effort put forth, and I'd like to say thank you to all of those who helped bring this information to you. If you have any other additions that you'd like to see on upcoming segments of Fire Medic, as you were told last month in the December issue, this will be becoming a monthly issue, so if you have something you'd like to see, please let me know. Send me a note through email. See you next month.
We're here today at beautiful downtown Creeds at Salmon's Farm, and I'm here with Captain Roy Munn, Company 6A shift. Roy, I'd like to know, how in the world do we deal with a silo fire or even a collapse like behind us?
Well, that's a good question, Randy. As most of you know out there, the farm equipment and situations that down in Creeds and Pungo, it's kind of unique. It's not like your average structural fire where we're pretty familiar with it and deal with it day to day. As one of the members of the crew down here, we have to stay pretty much on our toes to stay abreast of all the new features and have a good working relationship with the farm hands, because we rely on them heavily. As you can see behind me, we had a pretty good collapse here about a month or so ago, and it was a situation that I was a little unfamiliar with, and the first thing that I thought about was the evacuation, which they had pretty much under control by the time we got here.
Okay, if you do have a dust explosion or even a fire, what do they have a evacuation plan?
Yeah, this particular farm is owned by Salmons, but it's run by Purdue, and they have a crew that's here most of the time, 10 hours a day, from about 8 in the morning till about 6 at night. They have procedures that are set in the event of a fire in the elevator, or in the event of a fire in the conveyor belt or the storage tank. And also, just as I mentioned before, the collapse, they have an evacuation procedure they put in effect immediately.
I also see you have a tremendous amount of electricity going in here. So your first thing you're going to do is take care of electricity before even trying to fight the fire, correct?
Right. All the grain elevators and the heaters are run by propane. There's about 7,000 to 8,000 pound cylinders behind, and their procedure is to cut all electrical power off, cut all propane off in the event of any particular problem whatsoever, hopefully before we get here. In the event that hasn't been done, that's when we put our game plan into effect, that I assign a man or two men to go do that.
Roy, how much grain or material is stored in one of these silos?
Okay, going from information that we got from the farm crew here, the particular tank that collapsed had 255,000 bushels of corn that's stored in that particular storage. And then we have larger tanks over to my immediate left that basically stores right out of 500,000 bushels. The main reason for storage of any particular crop is to get the moisture contents out, to keep the grain from spoiling.
All right, Roy, if we do have a fire, is this going to be a full battalion call?
Sure it is, Randy. We're going to need all the help we can get, as usual, down in the county. We've got a lot of potential here of rescue problems. The weight of the grain, where we had the collapse and people being literally buried by the grain. We have a high-rise problem on top of these tanks. If somebody were to be up there checking for one reason or another, or doing maintenance to some of the machinery. And then we have a confined space, because a lot of people don't realize that these tanks have like underground tunnels to them a lot of times with conveyor belts. So therefore, anytime one of the personnel or even firefighters are involved with the weight that's here and the potential hazard that's involved, we're going to have a full response.
I also see there's hazardous materials around here. Is every farm have an abundant supply of that, or is it just one main storage place they go to, or like I said, does everybody keep such as pesticides?
Well, the Frank Williams farm and the Salmons farm are probably two of the larger farms down in the Creeds area. And naturally, whenever you're dealing with farmers, you never know what to expect, but such things as Roundup that you'll be seeing here shortly are stored here in abundance, large quantities. Then I've already mentioned about the 1,000-gallon tanks that we're exposed to as far as the propane, dealing with these heaters. Also, you got the hog farmers down here that deal with a lot of propane situations, and anytime you're dealing with a farmer, you worry about pesticides.
Okay. Well, that's real great information today, Roy. I hope everybody out there got the idea that cellular fires are dangerous and we should expect the unexpected. Also, probably you're thinking out there in the city out there, why are we even looking at this? Well, when you pull relief down in the county, this is what you're going to be looking at. Or when you bring a truck down here for when the firefighters are in service, this is what you're coming to. So I hope this information is really helpful. Gosh dang it, I'm a farmhand now. I sure did learn a lot in one day down here at this darn farm here. Let's see if we can't dump some grain here. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on his farm, he had some grain. Man, I don't know if I want to do this or not, man. It's too messy. Wow. Well, anyway, this is Randy Bose. See you next month for How in the World. Let's do it.
Now, for the firefighters of Virginia Beach, we present this edition of VDFD Frontline News Update with Battalion Chief Skip Brim.
5 members of the fire department have recently graduated from Tidewater Community College with their certification as nationally registered paramedics. Congratulations are due Vance Cooper, Leon Dextrider, Perry Ale, Pat Humphreys, and Jim Ingledew. On the 21st of December, Captain Travis Halstead and Master Firefighter Gary Brittingham stopped by Fire Administration to present Chief Dizell and Captain Stanley Foster a plaque and poster from the Operation Smoke Detector Racing Team. The plaque was in appreciation for assistance of the department in promoting the race team, and the poster was a collage of an article from Stock Car Racing magazine on the Operation Smoke Detector Race Team. During the presentation, we had a chance to talk to Travis and Gary, along with Stanley, about this unusual joint effort.
Originally, I was on my own, had a car, sponsored by myself, and Gary started working for me, and he wanted a car, so we started as a team. Then we sat down one day, had a little planning meeting on how we can promote the fire department while we were racing. And we looked across the hall from my office, and there was Stanley's sign with Operation Smoke Detector, so we called him up, and he gave us the rubber stamp. And ever since then, Smoke Detector Racing has been going on.
So Gary, you came in with Travis later then.
That's right. We started working a little bit on his car, and I kind of picked up some of my mechanical skills and perfected them a little bit. And we started doing our own cutting and welding and engine building, carburetor rebuilding and parts replacing and tire changing and just about everything you can do to them, body work and paint, and pitched in a little bit with everybody on our shift and appreciate all their help. And actually any help that anybody's given us this past year, we appreciate deeply. And it has all been a great big team effort, and we're very proud of the fact that we handed out some smoke detectors down at Dixieland Speedway, and hopefully we are actually racing to save some lives when we're down there.
Well, this past summer when Travis and Gary got in touch with me and we were talking about a way that we can promote the fire department, it was we realized how many firefighters were actually going out to the speedway watching the races, and a lot of families, the firefighters' families, children, everybody was going out. And it was just a perfect marriage between the fire department and Gary and Travis, and to be able to promote the smoke detector program, which is basically an awareness thing anyway, education. And the fire department's been doing a wonderful job since October of '92, and it was just a way for us to continue to get our message out.
The 1st of January, 1995 was issued in on a somber note as the Virginia Beach Fire Department Honor Guard led a procession of approximately 800 brother and sister firefighters in Anancock, Virginia, to lay to rest firefighter Stephen Colonna. Firefighter Colonna was killed when the tanker truck he was driving turned over on the way to a call. He was the first Eastern Shore firefighter known to have died in the line of duty. Early January 1995 brought several working fires in the city. A 2-alarm fire occurred in the early hours of 6 January at 100 Landmark Square. The quick work of the first alarm assignment, along with the ventilation efforts of both assignments, successfully held the fire to the area of origin in the large warehouse. The 10th of January saw 2 working fires. The first occurred in the 3300 block of Daytona Drive. The fire did extensive damage to a 2-story townhouse. 3 brother firefighters received minor injuries during the fire attack. Mike Duncan and Steve Lilienthal both received minor burns, while Tracy Freeman was injured when the ceiling came down on him. All 3, fortunately, were treated and released. The second fire on the 10th of January occurred at 1200 Glenside Drive. The 1-story, single-family residence was unoccupied at the time of the fire. The lack of anyone being home and the fact the blaze occurred in the middle of the afternoon allowed the fire to gain considerable headway prior to the arrival of VBFD units. In the opening of this VBFD Frontline edition, we showed you who the mustache contest people were. Of all the entries we got, only one had all 10 correct. That was Company 11, A Shift. The winners retreated to a pizza feast at the expense of the Fire Training Center. Well, that wraps up this edition of VBFD Frontline News Updates. Keep letting us know what's going on out there so we can get it on the show. Until next edition, this is Battalion Chief Skip Brown.
Well, we hope you enjoyed the first program for 1995. In closing, I want to say that a lot of people call down here and ask us, say, look, buddy, why can't you make this program a little more humorous? And with that, we try to tell them, look, this is not a it's not a comedy feature we're doing here. It's actually a program about the training in the fire department. And we also have editorial control handled by other people other than us at the low level. And I'll let Chief Carter talk a little bit about that because I know we get stomped on a couple times, don't we?
Well, yes. I see some of the stuff you guys try to put out of here, and that's one of the reasons you don't get them on time every month.
Yeah, that's a good point. Some of them, if you don't see them on time, it's because Chief Carter has editorial control over the program and cut something out and we have to re-edit it. But it's a good system the way it works, so I don't have any problems with it.
No, it is a good system, and I think the Frontline video is probably one of the best things we've done in the fire department in quite some time. We just need to keep it the way it was designed originally and not make it a comedy show.
Yeah. All right, we're finished up the program this month. If you've got anything that you want us to get on, let us know so we can get it in the production meeting for next month, or we'll get it on down the road because the program's built on your ideas. Until next month, stay safe.